Hey everybody, welcome to Ask Fernie. I am Fernando, or Fernie, your resident psychic, medium, and spiritual personality. Here you get to ask me questions about anything, right? You can ask me about spirituality, you can ask me about your intuition, developing your own psychic abilities, you can ask me spiritual based questions about life and meaning of life and all of the above. Or you can just ask me about your own personal lives and what is going on today and what you would want to know about around any specific situation, circumstance, and so forth. So if you would like to ask me a question, feel free to go ahead and do so in the comments section below. And at some point, I will answer as many of your questions as I can. Please remember that I am not a licensed medical doctor, counselor, attorney, or law enforcement official. So for legal medical advice or treatment, please consult a licensed professional. If you do have questions pertaining to any of those things, I am still willing to answer them, but you just have to know that up front. I don't want you guys to come back and say, hey, Fernie, you said that this would heal my wounds, and I still have them. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not allowed to diagnose, right? And so if you have questions, go ahead and mention them in the comment section below. I look forward to getting to your questions in a few moments. Also, please remember that your questions are public. So if you're going to post something about someone else or about your own life, please be aware that others are going to see your questions. So if you need to ask them, word them in a very specific way so that way you're respectful of yourself and of those around you, okay? And if you want to qualify for a free 15-minute session with me, then please like and share this video feed, and that will qualify you to be able to receive a 15-minute session with me. That doesn't mean all of you are going to get one, but at some point this coming week, I will select a person who liked and shared this video feed, and I will let you know that you won this week's drawing, and that way you can have a 15-minute Q&A with me in private, so you can ask me whatever you want to ask me, and not having to worry about your stuff being public, okay? So, like, again, if you have a question, you want to ask me your question, it can be about anything, spirituality, intuition, life advice, go ahead and post it in the comment section below, and some of you are coming in now, so I've got Davida. Hi, Davida, it's good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Let me make your thing bigger. There we go. Hi, welcome, welcome. I love your profile picture. I really like that one. So I've got that. I've got Patrick. Hey, Patrick. It's good to see you again. It's good to see you. I think one of these days we need to do a live. We need to do a video call. It'd be nice to talk to you and see your face when I'm talking to you, because I just feel like I have such a connection with you now, right? So let's go over Nicole. Hi, Nicole. Welcome, welcome. Congratulations. Nicole was actually the winner of last week's drawing, so she gets a free 15-minute Q&A with me. So she just needs to email my assistant, and she can direct her to booking that session with me. Let's see. Okay. All right. So I don't even know, but I don't even know what she's asking. This is Bathory. Hi, Fernie, the president of the, that's the last part of her message. So I'm like, what president are you talking about? Are you talking about our president? Are you talking about our company president? What are you talking about? We've got Mary. Mary, hello, Mary. Welcome, welcome. All right, guys. Okay, so what are we talking about today? We are talking about my video that I released yesterday on Facebook, and also will be on YouTube. If you guys are followers on YouTube, don't forget to go over to my YouTube channel and follow my YouTube channel, because I'm always releasing videos there too. There's quite a bit of videos on there too. If you haven't seen any of my old stuff, that would be the place to go. But yesterday I released a video, and the message was about pain, right? And about what we learn through the process of pain. And I know it's a very sensitive subject matter, and I know it's a very touchy topic to cover, but that's what I do, right? I cover topics that nobody else really wants to talk about, or that people don't like to talk about because it makes them uncomfortable. But again, it's my life. I lived it. So I'm already, it's what I can talk about, right? But if you did not watch the video, I would employ you guys to go ahead, employ you guys to go over to the video that I released yesterday, and give it a shot. Like it, share it, watch it. It might help you. It might give you guys maybe some insight into your own lives. But the video was about pain, and I think this whole theme about pain and learning and growing through pain has been my lesson for the week. Is about focusing on the understanding of pain and what pain does for us as individuals in our lives. And I myself, I've been through a tremendous amount of challenges, and a lot of people have been through a lot of stuff in their lives, right? But I think the first part of my life was a very difficult period in my life because I went through a lot as a person. I went through a lot as a child. And in the video, I did discuss my past experiences with child molestation, with child abuse, and all of that stuff. And I think that it's important that I speak about that and talk about that because, first of all, I do have a lot of clients who have had similar experiences. And it's nice to know that you're not alone in what you go through and that others can relate or understand those same experiences. I also want you guys to know that I am a human being. I've had experiences in my life. Just because I can sit here and tune into the future, just because I can connect with those who are departed, doesn't mean that I don't have a human life or that I don't have human experiences. I'm very human. I have the full range of all emotions, and sometimes when I am understanding spiritual truths and knowledge, which I pass on to you guys because I want you guys to benefit from my own personal awareness and understandings. But whenever I am learning through some of those spiritual teachings, I have to process it in my own way. I have to understand it from my own place in my own life and how it has served me. And so when I was learning about pain and what purpose pain serves for us, I wanted to share that with you guys because I think that was an interesting experience and a very important lesson that I learned about what pain can do for us as spiritual people, as beings who are growing and developing and trying to find our way in life, trying to find God. When we think of pain, we think of physical pain, right? We think of the ouchies and the ows and, ow, I hurt, or my body aches and all of that. And I'm not looking forward to getting older because when you get older, things just start to break, right? And I'm not looking forward to that. But I know that I'm going to have that experience at some point. And already now, I'm like 34, 35. I already have aches and pains. I'm waking up in the morning and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's like I need to wake up. And some of the stuff that aches and pains now never did when I was 25 or 26. And so I'm just like, okay, this is an interesting experience getting older and having all of these different sensations. And, your body doesn't move as quickly as it used to. I think like a few months ago, I was trying to do an old video of Taibo. I don't know if any of you remember Taibo, where you used to put on the video and used to, you punch and all of that. And I was trying to do a Taibo session from the video. And I remember I used to just get through it, and this time I was just like, and I was like struggling to keep up. And I'm like, oh my God, I am getting older. But so pain. So, I think pain in our lives serves a purpose. It's not just about the physical sensation. I think once you get past the physical sensation, that experience, there's something there for you to learn. Same thing with emotional pain. Same thing with mental pain. Sometimes when we are going through something so challenging and so difficult that it's so painful to go through, once we come out of that pain, once we can see the pain for what it is, and then try to see outside of that, try to be open to what's beyond that, then we start to realize that maybe there's something more there than just the pain. Maybe it is meant to teach us. Maybe it is meant to facilitate change in our lives. People don't usually look for better jobs unless their job is causing them pain, is causing them to be uncomfortable. And maybe that's the whole point. Maybe you're not supposed to feel comfortable. Maybe there's something more for you. Maybe you're supposed to achieve more or get to more in your life, but you're not going to unless you feel uncomfortable. When I was at Starbucks and I wasn't happy there, the company was what it was. It was changing. It was becoming something that I wasn't used to anymore. And I became uncomfortable. I didn't want to be there anymore. I didn't feel like I represented the company as a whole anymore. And it didn't represent me. And so I wasn't comfortable. And that discomfort forced me to consider other options. It forced me to say, hey, I'm not happy here. I'm trying to make this a good place to be in. I'm trying to make this a better environment for myself and for my employees. But I'm not happy here. And nothing that I'm trying, nothing that I'm doing seems to be having an effect. It's not making much of a difference. and I'm ready for happiness. I'm ready to feel better. I'm ready to, not dread going to work every day and really feel excited and passionate about the work that I do. And I wanted to do this, what I'm doing now. I wanted to do this. This was a dream. Back then, I remember this being a far off dream that I had for many, many years. Even from when I was a teenager and a kid, I remember having a dream of doing this for a living. But it wasn't a reality for me when I was at Starbucks. And I'm like, I need something practical. I need to be able to support myself. I need to be able to pay for my mortgage. I need to be able to pay. I needed health insurance. I needed all of these different things. And I didn't see this as being a reality that could provide those things. And so I just would look for any other job that I could find. I wasn't even interested in trying to make my passion a reality. I just was looking for another job. I went to HEB Pantry Foods and I tried out with them, got through several interviews. It looked great. And then they decided to go with internal candidates. I tried out with other organizations, and I remember even posting on Facebook, "Hey guys, if anybody knows of any opportunities, let me know," because I was ready for something else, and I wasn't ready to commit to this, but I knew I was ready to leave Starbucks, and so I was just looking for another job, and that tends to happen sometimes when we aren't ready to commit ourselves to our path or to our passion. We just try to find something else instead that will just hopefully work better for us. And I've been a big proponent about resolving your issues and your challenges with the things that you have challenges with, the source of that challenge, the root cause of that challenge in the moment that you're experiencing it, trying to resolve those then and there, because if you don't, they follow you, they go forward with you. If you leave one relationship because of certain issues and you run into another relationship to try to get away from those issues, you're going to end up finding the same issues in that other relationship. Same thing with the job. If you leave one job wanting to get away from those circumstances or those situations and you're trying to find another job just to find a better job because you want to get away from that, you're just going to end up finding those same issues at that next job. You may luck out, you may not, but most times when you're running away from something, you're going to end up with other situations that have the same stuff all over again. And so I was trying to just get another job, find another job that was going to work better for me, that was going to be happier for me to be in, and all that other stuff. I never took the time to really deal with the fact that I wasn't happy because of certain situations and circumstances, and what really did I want to do. Yeah, the issues at Starbucks were the issues at Starbucks, but what did I really want to do? Was I unhappy because the company was not what it was, or was I unhappy because I wanted to be doing this and I felt like everything else was getting in the way and I was just over it, right? Well, I realized that I was just over it, and I was blaming I was blaming my job for keeping me from doing what I wanted to do, which was this. I was, just looking for a fix it, or quick fix it. I was looking for a Band-Aid, but it was still going to be keeping me from doing this. And not only that, but when I was trying to find other jobs and all that, I kept running into walls. And I had to take that as a sign from the universe that maybe I'm not supposed to be finding other jobs. And maybe I'm not supposed to fix Starbucks. Maybe I'm supposed to try a different option, a different route that I hadn't considered, which was maybe I should do this. And I thought to myself, it isn't sustainable. I'm like, well, how do you know if you haven't even tried? How do you know if you haven't thrown 110% of yourself into this? So I decided to throw everything into what I do now. And, I was already leaning in that direction. I think the one thing that cinched it for me, the one thing that just kind of threw me over the fence, pushed me over the fence, was when one of my good friends, Chelsea, passed away. For those of you who don't know about Chelsea, and I'm actually going to spend an entire episode on her one day with our sessions here, but Chelsea was a partner of mine. She was someone who used to work for me at Starbucks. She was a barista. She was just this beautiful free spirit. And she believed in just being as free as you wanted. She didn't shave. She didn't wear deodorant. I remember I'd be like, girl, what are you doing? Like, oh my gosh, like, shave, please shave, but she was very free spirited. She just didn't believe in any of those things. And she would go and she did woofing in France, which is, if you don't know what woofing is, it's when you go working on the farms in France and you work on the farm. You work to keep your place there. You have free lodging and food, but you have to work the fields. And so she would do that in France, and she wanted to be this baker. And I remember having this conversation with her where I had already started my business, but I hadn't thrown myself into it. I had already been doing readings, but I hadn't thrown myself into it 110%. I was only doing it maybe 60%, right? She was just wanted to be a baker. And I said, where are your business cards? Where's your website? Where's this? Where's that? If you're serious about it, you need to do everything within your power to get there. And I would remember having that conversation with her and looking at myself and saying, what are you not doing right now, Fernie? Because you're just telling her this and you need to be doing that too. And it wasn't until she passed away. She's well known in the Houston community. She used to work for Whole Foods, and on her way to home from Whole Foods, which was just like 2 or 3 blocks away from where she lived, a drunk driver came by and smashed into her and left her on the side of the road for dead. And so we found out the next day through other mutual friends about her and her situation and what happened. And I mean, I remember going with Roxy, my assistant. Back then, she wasn't my assistant; she was just my friend. But she and I went to go see Chelsea in the hospital, and her beautiful blonde hair was gone and it was shaved, and she had all these tubes connected to her head, and she just looked like this like pale version of herself. And I remember being in that room and just seeing this free spirited individual trapped within this physical body that did not represent who she was to her core. And so the family let her go. They decided that they didn't want to take the risk of her being a vegetable for the rest of her life. That wasn't who she was. And they wanted to release her from those chains that she was bound by. So they let her go. And a few days later, she passed away. And then after she passed away, I found out through the family that she had such profound respect for me and for my teachings and for my ability, because I had told her several things through the course of our friendship and I made some predictions for her, and not knowing that I actually predicted that her passing, and I didn't know it at the time because I described some of the things that I saw, but I didn't see her passing away. Now I understand why, because when you care about someone and you care about who they are and they mean something to you, it's going to be hard for you to see bad things happening to them through visions or through the future, because you're biased, right? You want to see only good things. And so I always tell people, if you try to read yourself or you try to read close family members and friends, probably not going to be that great, because your own bias is going to interfere with you seeing things clearly. You can still do it. It's just going to be not that often and probably limited in what you can see as clearly as you can. But I remember after she passed and learning about how much respect she had for me and how much she used to talk about what I used to teach her and her spiritual path, all of that, it completely caught me off guard, and I wasn't prepared for that. But it basically was like, Fernie, I was one of the last influences in her life that had a profound effect on her and the way she lived. And the last thing that she wrote on Facebook was, I have an amazing life. And I remember reading that because, those are the kinds of conversations you used to have about being positive, about having a vision for yourself, and about putting all of your energy into what you wanted to create for yourself. And it wasn't until I realized, you know what? If Chelsea can believe in me, if she can trust in my abilities and in what I want to create for myself, then I need to have the same confidence. I need to have the same, that same certainty, that same faith. So that is when I decided, you know what, I was already doing this, but now I'm going to just give it everything I've got. And if I fail, I fail. But at least I tried, and I didn't waste around dreaming. I actually tried to have that dream. I can at least, if it fails, say the dream has been, I tried the dream, it failed. Nice try. Good job in trying. Moving on, right? And at least I won't have to spend the rest of my life being regretful that I never even gave it a shot. So it paid off, and because of that, I now get to do this for a living. I get to talk to you guys. I get to tune into your lives and give you guys the same kind of guidance that I would have given Chelsea. And not only that, but I just see the blessing in being able to do that every single day. So thank you guys. I actually want to take this time and saying thank you all for letting me have an impact on your lives and for giving me the opportunity to just share my message with you guys, because it means so much to me. And I think that painful experience is part of the reason why I'm doing what I do today, why I can do this. Same thing as when I talked about being molested as a child and going through sexual abuse as a kid and being teased as a kid in school. That experience propelled me and turned me into something else. I used that pain to transform my life. And I know that a lot of you have had similar experiences. A lot of you may have been teased in school. A lot of you, your parents may have been very, very challenging and very mean to you. And those experiences, you can use that to transform who you are and who you choose to be. You do not have to continue to be the person that life has turned you into. You can use those experiences and turn yourself into who you choose to be, and think those experiences. Be grateful for those things because they turned you into this. They allowed you to to grow beyond that and to become more. I mean, it's like Oprah Winfrey. She talks about all of the drama from her childhood and her story, and look at who she's become. Look at what she's created in the world because of that pain. I mean, there's a story of her, as a child, because she was so dark in skin that her grandmother did not want her to sleep inside. She had to sleep on the front porch because she was darker, and they preferred light-colored black people in their own community or in her own home. And so she had to sleep on the front porch. And now she's, if she wanted to sleep on her front porch, I'm sure she could. Of course, her front porch is probably worth like $2 million, but, she can do whatever she wants now because she used those experiences to propel her and to turn her into someone else. So I use those same experiences in my life to transform me. Same thing with Chelsea and the pain of losing her. I use that experience to propel me into throwing myself into what I do today. So thank you guys for giving me that opportunity to have an impact on you guys. And I hope that you can use your pain and not just see the pain, not just see the challenge, not just see what you struggle with, but also see the potential of what you could become. After my ex and I broke up, I was pissed, right? I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let that asshole turn me into this bitter queen who is never going to achieve some of these things. I'm going to show his ass that I am better than anything he ever thought I was. And I use that anger to propel me into becoming something greater. And now I look back and I'm like, man, sometimes I wish I was still mad, but I'm not. I'm not mad anymore, because when I was mad, I would be more. I was more action oriented, and now I'm just like more chill and mellowed out. But sometimes I wish I was still angry, because I could just use that anger to propel me with some of the things that I wish I was more aggressive about today. But it's okay, right? It's better to be happy and to let life kind of propel you now that you found a peace in all of it than to come from a place of anger. But I love you guys, and thank you so much again. But all right, so I am going to get to you some of your questions. I know you're ready for me to get to your questions. If you would like to ask me a question, please post it in the comments section below. I will not be able to answer all of them, but I will try to answer as many of them as I can. If you want to qualify in the drawing for a free 15-minute Q&A session with me, meaning that you will have a one-on-one appointment with me in private via phone or via video call, and you would like to qualify, please like and share this video feed on your Facebook, and that will qualify you for the upcoming drawing this coming week. And I will announce that and let you know. And all you have to do is just email my assistant, and she will direct you to the booking page. But if you want to qualify, go ahead and like and share this video feed, and make sure you mention it. Hey, like and share. But also, and I'll be able to see who did what and what did who on my video feed. But I love you guys, and I am ready for your questions. Okay, remember, your questions are public, so be careful with what you're posting out there, because if it's about somebody else, then you don't want to run into problems there. All right, so let's see. Let's go through these right here. And will I be teaching again in August? I think so. I think that you're going to have two opportunities. I think that there's a temporary or there's a partial or temporary or like part-time thing, actually like maybe midsummer to late summer. And kind of going into the new school year, but I kind of get the feeling you're going to be teaching by the second half of this year, which would just so happen to be starting in August, right? So I'm thinking so. I'm going to say yes, because I am seeing you working and doing some teaching in some way. So that's my response there. Let's see. let's see. Patrick's got a good question. As you know, I went through a lot of pain this past year and learned how to deal and walk through the emotions from my childhood with as much help. I'm going to go for my hopes and dreams. The more I work for it, do you see spirit helping me? So, spirit is a funny thing, right? First of all, there's different forms of communication with spirit. There's communication with your higher self or with your grander self or with that divine being. You can call it God, but I call it my higher self because that's kind of like a step up, but it's not to the very extreme, right? But I call it my higher self, and I actually gave it a name. I call it Asha, right? So my higher self, my higher being is called Asha, and Asha comes from a much higher place of awareness than I do. So that's my way of connecting with spirit is through Asha. Now, when I connect with people who pass away and their loved ones, that's a different form of communication. That's me connecting to those spirit personalities. I'm connecting to those personalities as they were here in life, but now in spirit form, because I want to be able to pass on messages and validation for those here in the physical world. That's another form of communication with spirit. And then of course, you've got your guides and your angels, and you've got all that other stuff that people talk about as far as like, your guidance and all of that stuff. So it depends on what you mean by that. But spirit is a very interesting thing because I know like Aja or like my own guides and all of that. If I ask a question about my life, they might give me some advice, but they're not going to tell me what to do, right? They're not going to say, Fernie, you should do this. This is what you shouldn't do. Now, if I ever get into a point where I'm about to cross a boundary or a barrier that goes against who I set myself up to be in this lifetime, they will definitely interfere and say, hey, be careful, caution, caution, whatever. That's when we have miraculous events that happen, right? When you're about to go past the line of what was supposed to occur, what was planned for. And that they don't have to do that often, but they do that. So when it comes to guidance, like, should I do this? Should I do that? Your guides aren't going to tell you what to do. Your loved ones in spirit aren't usually going to tell you what to do. You have to live your life. You need to make those decisions. So you need to just choose what you want to do, what you prefer to do, and then go down that path. If it was not the right path, they will let you know, good try, wrong direction, so they will let you know, but they will try to bring you support for whatever you decide to do. They will try to guide you. The moment that I decided I wanted to expand spiritually, it's like all these spiritual teachers showed up in my life through people, all these experiences from spiritual experiences that I had showed up in my life. All these books started to be guided to me. And it was because my guides, those in spirit, my spiritual team decided that I needed that support. It's a decision that I made, and they act on behalf of the universe. So they all started to work with each other to bring me that support. So if you make a decision that you're going to do something, you have to 100% devote yourself to that direction and path, and they will guide you. They will bring you support. Okay? So let's go over to Soar. I'm thinking of opening my own salon booth for more clients and making more money. Is right now a good time to do it? That is up to you. I can't tell you what to do. I can only tell you what I see. Now, when I tune into what I see happening, I think you're going to have two opportunities to open up your own salon. I think the first one might actually be some sort of a partnership potential or opportunity with someone who is also maybe interested in the same thing. This might actually come up around August or September. I'm not seeing that right now, but around August or September. And I think you'll start talking about this, or maybe may know more about this when you get closer to August or September. I don't see it happening because I feel like the person you would have partnered up with or the person you would have been talking to, they just don't feel as serious as you are. So I feel like they're still like, oh, I don't have the money to put in towards this or whatever. You're going to feel like you're trying to do it by yourself, even though you think you're doing it with somebody, right? So I think that when you get closer to the holidays around December, you're going to get super serious about it, and I think at that point you may make some changes or take some steps to get closer to achieving this goal for yourself. So I'm thinking probably around January, February is when you actually start the process of finding a location and establishing your own place. You might start off somewhere small that you can afford, and then you move to something bigger. But make sure that you look into all the licenses necessary to have your own salon, because I feel there's some licenses that you might overlook, and then you'll get caught off guard, and then you'll end up having to go back and can take care of that with fines attached. So make sure you're looking at the licenses or any like city ordinances you have to follow if you're going to have a salon. Okay. Let's go over to let's see. Jenna made a comment here. I'm so sorry for what you went through. That was very brave of you to share your journey. Thank you. Thank you for being receptive to it. I know it's weird. Some people, my thing went away. Some people, when I talk about abuse, when I talk about sexual molestation, when I talk about rape and all those things, they don't want to talk about it or it makes them uncomfortable. Some people don't think that it's less than spiritual because they feel like spiritual people should only talk about highly enlightened topics and things. And I can agree to some extent with that, but I had an experience years ago which just changed everything for me. I had a close friend, and at the time we weren't friends yet, but she became my mentor, and I looked up to her so much. And I just only saw her like on top of this soapbox, just she was just this like pure spiritual being and entity, and I just thought of her as like this pure angel living on the planet. And then one day, like I was helping her with something, and she farted. She farted, and I remember looking at her, and she looking at me, and she just got so red, and she was so embarrassed, and she at that moment was so vulnerable. And that moment, I realized she's a human being. She farts. She goes to the bathroom the same way we do. She has issues with relationship the way that I do. And so I realized that, you know what? As a spiritual person who was just this pure entity in my mind, she passes gas just like the rest of us. And by the sound of it, she does it really well. So I realized that we are all human beings, and there isn't just this one profound leader or this one person that can guide us all. We have to guide ourselves. And some of us may know a lot about some things more so than others. We should help each other out, right? And so I realized that I almost want to write a book called Spiritual People Fart, just because it's like talking about spiritual stuff, talking about all the things that I've experienced, but also putting a human perspective on it because, I'm just like you, except I've had these experiences and I think you guys can benefit from that, right? But I think that changed it for me. And so that's why I know I have friends who are well known in the entertainment industry or in the spiritual community, and they suggest that I don't share, that I don't talk about my own personal experiences, and that I don't share all of those profound lessons and things that I've gone through. And, she's like, you have to have a mystery. You have to let yourself be a mystery to people. I get that because it's like the old way. It's like Hollywood and people in the entertainment industry and people who are stars. We don't know them personally. So there's a mystery and air about them, and that makes us more obsessive with them. And I can see that's great for business. But I think what's even better for business is actually helping people with issues that I know what I'm talking about because I've lived through them myself, and being able to share those experiences with people, not only from a spiritual perspective, but also from a human point of view as well. And I think that's better for business, right? That's better because people are going to trust me and they're going to want me to help them. So I think that's even better. Not only that, but I feel like I'm having more of an impact on the world. So I can agree with that, but also I'm like, I'd rather just write a book that says spiritual people fart, because it is the reality of the situation. And I think that's why it allows me to be myself and to be as honest with you guys as I can, right? So, all right, let's see. Jen has a good question. Will I find a stable job by the end of the year? What career choice should I pursue? I feel you will find a stable job option probably by August or September. I think you are going to... I'm pretty sure it has something to do with automotives or insurance companies because I'm seeing like farmers insurance in my head. So I'm thinking, okay, either it has something to do with vehicles, crash collision, might have to do with a car company, or it might have to do with insurance. There's something there that I'm seeing that I'm getting a vibe for. So I feel like it might have something to do with that. Someone may actually be already doing this, and I think this is where you're going to be led to. So I'm going to give you August or September-ish before this comes up for you, okay? Let's see. Mary has a question. Do you see any job changes for me at any time soon? No, not soon. It might be a little bit later than you would expect. I want to say you know about some. Oh, I hate to say this. I want to say you might know of something in November. You might not actually find it, or you might not actually be at another job until January, February of next year. So it might be a while. It's weird because I kind of see you jumping jobs twice or jumping around a couple of times. So it would not surprise me if before the end of the year you end up in something temporary or contract based, and then early next year you end up in something else long term or more permanent. Let's put it that way. So, all right. Let's see. I've got a question from Jackie. I feel lost in my career right now. Where would I be of most help to people? So here's the thing. It's interesting because you're talking about helping people, and I feel like you can help people, but you might have to be a bitch to do it. Meaning that there are people who can get things done. There are people who can achieve great things, but in order to do it, they kind of have to be all over other people. They have to run and dominate and control and manage and direct others. And sometimes it's not done in the nicest way to get those things done. That doesn't mean to like disrespect or to be nasty to people, but I almost feel like you might have to be stern or strict. You might have to kind of be in that like very direct, here's what I want. If you can't understand me, I don't need you here. Like that kind of mode in order to help people. So right now, I think you need to worry less about helping people and more about trying to get into a leadership or position where you can run things, kind of control things, move things along, because I think you would do well with that. I also am seeing some sort of coordinator type event, possibly planning type thing that you might also end up doing or getting involved in at some point. Even if it's not like by yourself or for your own business, it's you might do that for a large organization or a company, right? So there's that feeling or vibe there. So that's the feeling that I'm getting. Now here's the thing, and whenever I say like planning and coordinating, people automatically think I don't want to be a wedding planner. I'm not saying to be a wedding planner. You could be a fun run coordinator who puts on a walking event where people can come and jog and they donate money to cancer awareness. Like that's planning and coordinating. Like that could be that for the cancer companies or for like Enron or Chevron or whatever. Enron doesn't even exist anymore. Whoa, flashback. So corruption flashback, right? But I think that it's something like that I kind of feel you're going to end up becoming involved in or connected to within the next 2.5 years. Okay. So something like that in a management or leadership role would be good for you. Let's see. Let's see. Here's one from Zia. Zia, will I make a connection with someone over the summer? Yes. Will the connection stick? Probably not. My thinking is two things. One is I think that you are flexing or too accommodating when you don't need to, but then you're not flexible or accommodating when you should be. Meaning that when you meet people or when you connect with others, there's a list in your head, right? You got a list in your head of what you're looking for. And so I almost feel as if that's not a bad thing. However, then you end up finding out that they're a charity case or you need to help them or there's potential there and you can advance and develop them and their potential and make them into better people and they need you, right? And you feel bad for them. That's when you get way too flexible and then you end up turning them into a charity case and then it turns out to be you taking care of them instead of you benefiting from a relationship and having mutual understanding, cooperation, and understanding, right? So I feel like that's what ends up happening instead of having your list and then you see one thing that's not right on that list that would be a big thing for you, like I don't want someone with kids or whatever, and then it turns out that they could have been a good fit for you, but you knocked them out because you just said no, I don't think I can deal with that. But then over here with Junior over here, you're like spending all this time and energy trying to help them overcome their issues, and they're not interested in helping themselves. But they didn't match up to a lot of the stuff on your list, and you were too flexible, too accommodating because you felt sorry for them or you felt bad and you wanted to help them. So I think sometimes you're too accommodating, sometimes you're not flexible enough. So what I would say is you need to get clear on what you want and who you want to be with, and basically try to reach for the feelings of that list. Feel what does that feel like? What does it feel like to have somebody who's there for you? What does that feel like? practice those feelings and sensations, and people will start to come to you who match up to those frequencies. You might have to date a couple of times or see a few people before you get to a right fit, but I do think that there's a lot more likelihood for you to connect in a way that would be meaningful. To answer your question, I do not see you connecting with someone long term during the summertime, but December may be an interesting time for you because I think you're going to have more than one option on the table, one of them being with someone from your past. So you might need to be careful and selective about who you're going to give your time and energy to. Okay? All right, let's see. Okay, here's Bathory. She rewrote it. Okay, hold on. Let me drink a sip of my coffee here. Okay, so hi, Fernie. The president of the medical practice I work for resigned unexpectedly and would like to know how this will impact us employees. So, honestly, president of the medical practice. I think somebody else is going to step in temporarily. Though it's not going to seem like it's temporary, it's going to seem like it's actually a permanent step in. That's going to happen within a matter of weeks. So, I mean, really, really shortly. That person's going to be way over their head. I feel like there's going to be either another partner or another person that has the same qualifications who can come in and kind of take over and start to just basically align things. Also, this is not going to be a bad thing. I feel like this is actually going to impact you guys in a positive way because there were things that should have already been done with that old president that weren't. And so the new person that comes in is going to be a lot tougher, but there's a lot more potential with them as far as what you can do. I almost feel like I said you might move to a different location, or there may be a change of location at some point, and you might end up even going back to school. But I feel like this is going to lead to you potentially having better opportunities. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I also feel that September, there may be a change in contracts, pay, whatever, around September. So you need to keep an eye out for that because that may be something to prepare for financially so you're not caught off guard, okay? All right, so I think I'm going to have one more question with you guys. Let's see. Let's do Kayla. Kayla, hi, Fernie. Will I find a job soon, and will my financial situation get better? You should be having a job coming up like within a matter of weeks. Like I feel like this should be really soon. I would be surprised if you don't have a job next week. Because I feel like it should be like any day now. I don't think you have to wait months. Like I feel like, okay, now we're around that energy, that time. Something's coming up. I hope I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. Please don't take it out on me next week, right? But I hope I'm right. I also feel that your financial situation will be better within 2 to 3 months. You're going to have to catch up, though, because you're a little behind. I also feel like there's either a loan or borrowed money or debt that you've got to maybe work out a solution to, because even though you may get a job and have money flowing in, by the end of the year, that's still not going to be something that's benefited or fixed. So you might need to deal with it in a different way. Okay? So I think by the end of the year, you'll get your finances more or less under control. That doesn't mean like better, under control. I think it's going to take you a little while to get better, but you need to work on your spending and maybe the way that your money is being handled, because you might not be doing it in the best way possible. And that's just the truth, right? That's the truth, girl. But all right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I love you guys. And if you want to qualify again for a reading, 15-minute free reading with me in private, go and like this video feed and share it with your friends and family. And I will select someone in this coming week for the next week's drawing, okay? All right, guys, take care, and I hope you have a good weekend. Bye-bye.